Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Follow the Brand podcast. This is your host, Grant McGaugh, and every now and then, I let people peek behind the curtain. They say, what makes Grant tick? What's behind the curtain? Well, the man behind my curtain for a lot of my years when I started looking at what is personal branding, what is that all about? Can you make a business out of this? When I was going back in October of 2019, and Mike Kim came to the front of my feed. I said, oh, Mike Kim, who's Mike Kim? I see this brand new podcast. What's this all about? I don't know, but I'll give it a shot. I pushed play and I'm starting to listen to this guy, and I ended up after about 50 episodes, I said, he might actually know what he's talking about. He's actually very, very good. I encourage everyone right from the top of the show, if you are looking to build a business, you want to know how to be an entrepreneur, you're a small business owner, you may not be the best at marketing, you need to understand some of the tenets of marketing and need to really get your foundation, get your feet wet. I encourage you to step all the way back. So he's at episode 360 now. Step all the way back to episode 1 and kind of step through these things. You will learn, as I did, the mastery that Mike Kim has. So I'd like to introduce you to Mike Kim. Mike Kim, you want to take the mic?
Oh, Grant, well, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for those kind words. And for everyone who's tuning in today, I hope to be of some value.
All right. You're valuable to me. We're going to spread the wealth, right? We're going to spread some wealth. We're going to spread some love. I believe you're in New York right now. I know you travel a lot, you get around, you move things around. But I want to start off like this. This is really where the crutch meets the road. And I think you did it eloquently, meaning you were working, you had a job, but you wanted to make a transition to become an entrepreneur. What was the spark that got you going? And then when did you feel that you started to have the confidence that you knew this could be a viable business for you?
Yeah, really the spark hit me. I was the CMO of a company, Grant, and it was here in the New York, New Jersey area. And it actually happened Thanksgiving. Now, this is a long time ago now. But I remember it was like the first time I was hosting Thanksgiving. I think the year was 2013. Okay. And my mom and my sister came over to my place, and we had Thanksgiving together. It was awesome. Like we stayed up all night, we hung out, and late in the evening, I get an email from my boss. I was working as a CMO for this company. We need you to come in tomorrow. Now that's Black Friday here in the United States. Nobody like the only people who work on Black Friday usually are in retail because everyone goes shopping, right? And I had stayed up all night hanging out with my mom. She gave me these like just shared some crazy stories about us growing up. And I was like, this is one of the most fun nights I've ever had. And she and I, you know what happens when you grow up, like you get a job, and you don't really see your parents very much anymore. And
Sure.
so this was like incredible. And then I had to leave my family at my own house so I could go to work the next day. And that really, like, this is one of the frameworks that I teach. It really pissed me off, to be honest. It really takes me off, right? And part of the framework that I use to ask people, I ask them three questions, and the answers can often serve as sort of a catalyst as to why you're doing what you do. And those questions are what pisses you off, what breaks your heart, and what's the big problem you're trying to solve. I didn't know the answer to the other two questions, but the first question I definitely knew the answer to. Like, this ticks me off. Like, what if I get in a car accident and I never have these nights with her again? What if my mom, you know, God forbid, something happens to her? What if we never have any one of these nights again? And I literally left my family because I had to go to work. That was really the inception of me thinking about taking control of my life. I started to realize that no one was going to tell me to live a better life or help me do it. Right now, I've noticed that no one ever says no on your behalf. They always want more. They always want more from you. They always want to squeeze more juice out of the orange.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so that for me was the catalyst. So it came in stages. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that time. Frankly, I didn't know what was possible at the time. I didn't really know that there were marketing consultants. I didn't know that there were brand strategists who weren't working for big agencies and companies. So I didn't really know what was possible, but I was experiencing a present negative, trying to move to a future positive, even though I didn't know what it was.
Yes.
And that kind of got the wheels turning. I started looking up different podcasts. I started Googling things, trying to learn. Much like, you know, you shared just a few minutes ago with everybody here about how you and I met, at least online through my content. And so I was just like looking for answers, and it began this slow journey. But in retrospect, it happened pretty quickly.
Well, and I think you had to, for me, as an outsider looking at you, we spoke about this even earlier. Like sometimes you don't hear from the people that are listening to your content. And it's always good to get that feedback. So I'm going to give you some feedback that I got from listening to your podcast. Number one, I got some confidence. I got some great. I said, yeah, I hear what he's saying. I think I can apply some of these principles. They're not that complicated if I put in the work. If I put in the work, I will step through these things. Now, I've been doing my business for, I'm going to say I literally incorporated in 2020. So this will be, I can't even believe it. It's been 3 years, right? And I guarantee you, now you have an 8-step process. I took my time because I'm still working. I still have my 95. I still do those things because I'm taking my time to build my foundation. I believe I'm now at step 5 of your model, your step 5 and step 6. And I want you to tell the audience first, walk them through those first 4 steps and the importance of them and why that's so important to have that down before you get to that 5 and 6.
Yeah. Well, the way that I look at it is that a lot of people kind of have an idea of what they're supposed to do, and they kind of like throw things against the wall. And a lot of times we do them out of order. I tell people like these steps are sort of like digits in a phone number. You can have the right numbers, but if they don't go in the right order, you're not going to be dialed in, right? You're not really focused, right? You end up like calling the wrong person, right? And people get frustrated. But what we have to understand is that success is sequential. It's not simultaneous. You got to build, like you're saying, that foundation first, right? And so where I really start with people who want to build a business around their personal brand, what I mean by a personal brand is an identity that's based on your ideas, your expertise, your reputation, and your personality. That matters, right? So when we think about the fact that it's not just what you know, but how you do it and how you convey your ideas and communicate your ideas. It's first very important, step one, to have a point of view. You gotta have some sort of values. You've got to have some sort of beliefs. There has to be some tenets that you could, drive into the ground as a stake and say, this is where I'm hanging my hat, right? And then once you have a point of view, you can share personal stories. That's step number two. We need to know who you are. We need to know why you do it, right? Every superhero, supervillain, every big influencer that we follow online, most of us know their stories. We all know that Batman's parents were killed. We all know that Tony Robbins grew up very, very poor. These origin stories, these personal stories, like where did you come from? How did you do it? So that's got to be, that's integral to you building a business around your personal brand. So you got a point of view, you got personal stories, you got a platform. You've got to share these stories somewhere, whether it's a podcast, a blog, a YouTube channel, Instagram, or other social media channels. And I meet so many, or website. I meet so many people who say, help me build a website. I'm like, okay, but do you even know what you want to say? And they don't. See, it's out of order. They don't have a point of view and they don't know how to tell their personal stories, right? So after you have an idea of what platform you're going to use, you need to understand your positioning. And the positioning is really where you stand in relation to your competition. There are a lot of other options out there for people, to kind of run with. There are a lot of other people who teach what I teach. And so understanding what your positioning is, are you Louis Vuitton or are you Walmart? Are you going to go to a specialized market or are you going to go to the mass market? And if you and I were opening a pizza shop, Grant, and we went to the bank and asked for a business loan, we'd have to tell them these things. And that's where a lot of people get in trouble because the barrier of entry is so low. We think, well, I'm going to just start a podcast or a YouTube channel and I'll figure it out along the way. And then they get, put in hundreds of hours into something, invest a ton of money, and they don't have traction because they can't answer those 4 simple questions. You asked me to start with this first 4. They don't know what their point of view is. If they have one, they're scared to share it. They don't want to share their personal stories. They just want to share what they know. Newsflash, information isn't exclusive anymore. It's all over the internet, right? So, but you are exclusive. Your personal brand is. And then they don't really know what platform to use. And they don't know where they sit relative to the competition. How are you supposed to build a business off of that? Right? So I start with those 4 steps, and then we get into the products, which you're at, the pricing, the pitch, the partners. And all of that is in the book, but that's like those first 3 to 4 steps are really, really integral. And that's why they come first.
They're critical. They're critical because that you're beginning to build the invisible to become visible. That's how I would call it. And so when you start becoming visible, you've got to be ready. So if someone does like what you have, then there's a mechanism for them to acquire it, right? And you've got to have all that put together very good. There's another thing that I really, really liked that you stated, and I can't remember where it's at in the book, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, you've got to understand, like yourself. I'm talking to an individual who's been podcasting probably almost since podcasting started really becoming in popular, right? You started, 8+ years ago. You've been down this road. I've been podcasting close to 2 years now. And so when I see you, I want to say, hey, when you have someone that you can see that's down that road that you want to then traverse, it is so cool that they're sharing some information along the way because it collapses your window of time. So you don't have to make some of these other mistakes, or it validates where you are in your journey. Like, oh yeah, I could check that box. He's saying that's what he's got to do. I love, even your Zodiac world, what you talked about, like how to roll out things systematically, so you're not just all over the place. So you
Yeah.
do have a framework which to operate. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, years ago, I moved back into the area where I went to college, and I revisited this Chinese restaurant that I loved when I was in school, and it was called Noodle Gourmet. It's in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And I'm not Chinese, so I don't really understand the Chinese zodiac, but I saw a couple of calendars that they had in the restaurant, and it just kind of hit me, year of the horse, year of the tiger, year of the whatever, right? And that's how the Chinese zodiac works. And I was like, you know what? That's a lot like business, especially in this space. When I started in 2013, I was still side hustling. I was working my full-time marketing job, side hustling, trying to get copywriting clients, trying to do some of the stuff. And I said to myself, you know what? I've got a good job. I've got to figure out how to build this business in the margins of the time that I'm committed to at my job.
Yeah.
And I said, hell or high water, this is the year of the blog. I'm going to blog every Monday. I'm going to publish a blog post every Monday. It doesn't matter who reads it right now. I just have to publish, because it had to become habitual to me. I had to learn the skill set. I had to do the reps, just like you do in any kind of sport or activity where you're trying to master, right? And in many ways, I want everyone to understand this: consistency is greater than intensity. I got people who, okay, I wrote 10 blog posts. Yeah, but they're not consistent. You're not doing it over the course of a year. You're not doing it over the course of 2 years. And so in 2013, Grant, I made sure that was what I published. Like, that was priority number one. In 2014, you made mention of this, I started podcasting. Well, guess what? It was way easier to podcast because I've been blogging for a year. There were times where I just took blog posts that I wrote the previous year that people responded really well to, and I created a podcast episode out of it. I knew how to write the headlines for the podcast episodes because I'd been blogging. I already had an audience from blogging that moved over to my podcast. And so everything actually became exponential. Yeah. It stacked one on top of the other. 2015 for me was really the year of launching the product, right? The product launch, right? And the mastermind. And I had met so many people who try to fill a coaching group or mastermind group. I sold it out in 3 weeks. Yeah. Well, the reason was I had an audience that I had earned from 2 years of blogging and 1 year of podcasting. So there I was in year 3. I went full time that year. I made the leap from my very lucrative C-suite marketing job into making even more money when I started my business. And I sort of just played the long game. And now when I teach some of this stuff to my clients, my coaching groups, my mastermind members, I just ask them very frankly, are you playing like the 1 year game, or are you playing the many decades game? Because if you play the many decades game, if you play the long game and you're patient and you get really good at what you're doing and you keep learning, you stay hungry, it will work out. Too many people just jump to things out of order. And it's just like the phone number analogy I used before. They're not dialed in.
No, and I am a living testimony of that. And you just said something, just, my light went on. You said year 3. Well, guess what? I'm in year 3. This is good.
There you go.
This is good. This is good. But I like the consistency with my podcast. Now, how I built my audience, I had been building an audience through my sales role in healthcare and technology. I built it up. I use my platform of choice is LinkedIn. So I built it up, and I found that this was an enormous resource. It became my CRM. I said, this is great. When you're doing sales like I have, when I remember when you had to do snail mail, you're sending out, envelopes to people, right? You had to pick up the phone, you're just dialing for dollars, right? And then all of a sudden the email came, like, well, I could blast emails. But you know what? Like you said earlier, people, they've got all those defenses are down. No one picks up a call, especially in the business anymore. If they don't
Hmm.
recognize the number, you're going to voicemail. Who's going to check all their voicemails? Maybe they, maybe not. Their emails, the same thing. Like they got so many. How do you know if you end up in the junk file or the spam file or whatever it might be? If they know you, guess what? You come out of that box and they begin to actually read your content. But they got to know who you are. So I had built an audience already in LinkedIn to I don't know, 10, 15,000 people that I already had. And they were curated, meaning they were people in healthcare, people in IT. I said, wow, I've already got what a lot of people are looking to gain through their lead gen, right? They're trying to get emails and build up an email log of different people that they can then send out content to and then build a business. So I already had it. I just didn't have the framework to how do I then make this an actionable business on top of that. So I needed a Mike Kim to help me to then take what I already have and engineer it, to be effective. And so when I started the podcast, I remember this. I said, all right, Mike Kim, I listen to I see how he's doing his podcast. So I'm going to do it. So I did like 2 episodes. I did a monologue. They were horrible. They were terrible. I was not a Mike Kim. I'm like, I'm not Mike Kim out here. I'm going to have to change up a little bit, So I started bringing in guests, and then I started getting better and better. Then I got a designer to help me then do my cover art. So my uniqueness is that each one of my episodes has a different cover art. And people really started to like that. And in my world, because I'm launching it on a LinkedIn platform, there wasn't a lot of podcasters. So I had a unique audience and they started to really tune in. I started bringing on some guests and it grew and it became an effective tool for me. What I want to ask you this is that now you've blogged, you've you've done the podcast, you've even done the book, you've got the mastermind. You talked about recently about video and YouTube. Why did you wait so long to do YouTube, and what are you looking to get out of it?
Yeah, I put off YouTube for a while because I didn't I was focused on what was working,
Hmm.
and I didn't really have an exposure problem. I had really good relationships in the industry. And so I think that's where you have to understand like where your people are hanging out. You just gave a brilliant example about what's working for you. I don't have a really strong presence on LinkedIn. My audience, my past audience, my current audience, they're not super active on LinkedIn. Where they were active were on Facebook and Instagram.
Hmm.
And so I concentrate, I put in money to run ads on those platforms. I found other friends who were building communities on those platforms, and that's what worked for me. Um, Now, what I'm seeing, it's not that like I feel my business is behind because of YouTube or the lack of a YouTube presence. I just see where the trends are going.
Hmm.
I think regular TV is going to die a very, very slow and painful death. Um, I don't have cable TV. I have YouTube TV, which is essentially cable TV, and the only thing I watch on it are sports. Everything else, and only in the playoffs. Everything else, I watch highlights of football and basketball on Instagram. And
Yeah.
so what's happening is the way people are behaving is completely changing. So not only is my audience shifting to more short form video and I have to be present there, the entire world is doing that.
True. True.
NBA games are on. I don't watch the entire game. I go do something else and watch the highlights that are posted on Instagram literally as the game is being played.
Right. Right.
So you think about that and where people are spending their time, it's on short form video. And so now I'm like, okay, well, let's get on there. But the awesome thing is it's going to come rather easy for me because I have 8 years of podcasting experience. I have been a speaker. I have a ton of content of videos where I've spoken at other people's conferences or my own that we can cut into video. So you see, everything is stacking, but I also want to be intentional about where people are going and where they already are.
Uh-huh.
And I think that all of us have to be aware of that, cognizant of that. My audience is not on Pinterest, or at least my ideal clients are not on Pinterest. But for many of my clients, they are.
Mm.
And so you've got to find what makes sense for you. And then if you need to learn the skills requisite for that platform, then buckle up and learn. Just like you learn podcasting, just like I learned podcasting. I think that there are seasons in our careers and in our development where we have to learn a very critical skill.
Yeah.
And without learning that critical skill, you do not go to the next level. You may even go down a level because everyone else is moving up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like 2013, I had to blog. That was innovative at the time. 2014 podcasting, like you said, I was in a little bit early. Oddly enough, I thought I was late. Isn't that interesting, right? And so, but I did it. I had to learn that skill. I sat there and recorded episodes and they stunk. And I was like, let me re-record that. I've worked on it for hours. Now, all these years later, I could just one shot an episode.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're acquiring these skills, but now it's like, for me at least, I'm like, okay, it's time to grow again. I got to add another thing to my, so maybe 2023 is the year of the YouTube for me. Maybe that's what it is. Right. So I think it's a cliche, but grow or die.
All right, let's talk content. Content is the norm. You got to have great content out there, right? But what kind of content do we create? There are 3 reasons, if you really think about it, why people tune into content. And these are in no particular order. They're different for every person, and they're different based on the programmer, the creator, or the viewer. But if you think about every brand that's out there and all the content that you watch, there are 3 reasons that people really tune into content. Number 1, they want to be educated. They want to learn something. It's a how-to, if you will. Similar to this video, right? Just learning something new. It could be instructional, it can be theoretical, but they're learning something. We want to learn something. So number 1, it's educational. Number 2, it's inspirational. Content that is inspirational. People want to be motivated. They want to be inspired. They're tear jerkers, right? These are more compelling and emotionally moving stories, right? So these aren't necessarily how to be more inspirational. It's just something that really encourages us or lifts us up, right? And then 3rd, there's content that is just entertainment. It's just fun. Or it's interesting. It's action, it's movies, shows, drama, whatever. But we're watching it for entertainment purposes. So those 3 things, again, in no particular order: education, inspiration, entertainment. I am primarily an educational content creator. I teach how-to stuff. I teach branding, marketing, copywriting, you name it. But here's the thing. Regardless of which one of these 3 you are, you need to delve into the other 2 at least once in a while. No one wants to hang out with a teacher all the time. If all I ever did with my friends and my colleagues was just teach, they'd be like, Mike is just lecturing me all the time. I've got to weave in some content that is inspirational or even entertaining, that highlights some aspect of my humor or my personality. I have a very dry sense of humor, and that shows in certain pieces of content that I create on social media. An inspirational post might be something like this. Some time ago, I published my first book, You Are the Brand. And before it even went live, I got a few copies to give out to friends and family. And I handed a copy of the book to my mom. And I recorded her on video to get her raw reaction. What do you think?
Very attractive.
Really? So I didn't do well in school, right?
I knew you were very smart, but you didn't want to really put your effort for getting a good grade. You have a lot of different talents in you. I was surprised actually. And you develop all your talent in different ways. So I'm proud of you, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This was not a how to write a book post or how to brand yourself post. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a moment where I shared that interaction with my audience. And people were just so inspired to see my mom kind of react the way that she did to seeing her kid do something significant with his life. Write this book. I'm gonna put some music to it. It was inspirational. It was encouraging. And people said this: I feel like I got to know you more through this piece of content. It was so inspiring. I didn't know you had a hard time graduating high school. I didn't know you struggled in college, and yet you wrote a book, and it was inspirational. And yet I didn't teach him how to write a book or anything like that. Just one of those moments once in a while that you can share with your audience that touches on the other 2 that are outside the norm of what you do. I mean, how many entertainers or how many celebrities do we follow once we understand their real life story and how they made it, we're inspired, right? We're inspired. Or how many of these actors who are out there, these performers, actors and actresses or athletes, elite athletes, share something online about how they learned how to act or how they, shoot and dribble a basketball. It's so we want to learn. We want to learn how they excel at their craft. So again, education, inspiration, entertainment. Think through those things. You major on one of them, but you've got to touch on the other two to give your brand a well-rounded approach, a well-rounded identity in the market. Thanks for joining me today. Till next time, live your message, love your work, leave your mark on the world, and I will see you back here on the next episode.
5-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've got a live TV show that I do on actually Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. And I do it over StreamYard. And it goes out to over 200 countries on a lot of different platforms. I'm not aware of all of them, but it does repurpose onto my own YouTube. And it's been effective for me because I'm able to now I call it almost double dipping. I still have my podcast and I'm still podcasting, but because I record these over Zoom, I can then repurpose them over YouTube and I can record them over YouTube Live. And there's other ways to now even build live community over it, like a live Zoom type feed. They've got this now functionality. My question is this, because I haven't got to this phase yet. Have you found that it's been very lucrative for you to then build mastermind groups, and those mastermind groups are obviously beneficial from thought leadership as well from a commercialization standpoint?
Yeah, for me, mastermind groups work great. I love mastermind groups. I love running mastermind groups. One of the things that really helped give me a lot of clarity, and I teach this to all the people I coach, if you just take a simple sheet of paper and draw 4 boxes, right, 4 quadrants, on the upper left, quadrant 1, you just write down what you love doing and you are amazing at, what you're great at, right? Next quadrant over, upper right, things that you're good at and that you like doing. Lower left corner, things you don't like doing and you're not good at. And the lower right corner, quadrant 4, things you hate doing and you suck at.
Yeah.
And if you just fill in those quadrants, it will be very, very illuminating to you. For example, when I look at quadrant 1, I love doing, and I think I'm amazing at running mastermind groups.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm great at and love doing workshops. And I think I'm great at and love connecting with other entrepreneurs, like relationally. That's why I have so many friends and colleagues in the industry. That's what I'm great at. Now, if you move over, this may surprise some people, and always surprises my audience when they hear it for the first time. Things I'm good at and like doing: speaking,
okay,
copywriting.
Yeah.
I am not a full-time speaker. I'm not a full-time copywriter. Right? Now, if I focus and build my business around the things in quadrant 2, speaking and copywriting, I'm going to be miserable. Eventually, I'm going to be miserable. So the name of the game to me is to try to figure out how to use speaking and copywriting to do more of quadrant 1.
Yes.
So if I take an invitation to come onto someone's podcast or go speak at their conference, that may well end up in some of the people in that audience coming to join a mastermind with me or working with me in a workshop. It doesn't mean I cut off everything else, but I know what the North Star is for me because of quadrant 1. In quadrant 3, things I don't like doing and I'm not really great at: Instagram, social media. I don't want to run my own social media, right? It's like stuff like that, right? Facebook groups. I know people rave about Facebook groups and they work wonderful for certain people. For me, I hate them. I don't like doing them, right? And then things I'm terrible at and hate doing: budgets, taxes, admin work, anything organizational. But my integrator, Chelsea Brinkley, that's quadrant 1 for her.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we work, right? So if you just jot that down, right? Like even podcasting would be in quadrant 2 for me. I think I'm good at it and I like doing it. Very rarely do I tell anyone that I'm a full-time podcaster. That is actually not how I make the revenue in my business directly. But there are other people who do that. Joe Rogan, right? The Joe Rogans of the world, the John Lee Dumases, who's a friend of mine. That's all they do, and they love it. And they've got millions of listeners, and they sell ads on their podcast. That's their monetization strategy. Me, I'm a different animal, and that's okay. So that's where we've got to understand, not just from a branding and messaging standpoint, but the operation of your business. What is in alignment with you?
Mm-hmm.
Figure out what that is. Figure out how to make that work for you so that it is the truest expression of who you are. So when I run 4 mastermind calls every other week. I ran 2 of them today, 2 yesterday, 2 today. I leave those calls energized, not drained.
No, and so
so that's
you
important.
understand where
Mm-hmm.
where your light shines at, and how to utilize your platforms to get to your North Star, like how you said North Star. I love that. And that's what I'm doing. I have the podcast. I don't use it for monetization of itself. It's an enablement tool. It enables me to get in front of the right people, and it opens doors to where they would normally be closed. For instance, I was on another company's podcast earlier today. Large corporation, they wanted to sit down and have a conversation with me. And because I had a podcast, they felt I would be a good guest. That really expands my own brand, expands my credibility, and it gets me now to where I want to be at, which I think I'm really good at, and people know that they come to me and talk to me about that. How do you do so well social selling on LinkedIn? So I developed a course to show people how to do that from my lens, and how to not just set up the different profiles and the different tools that are there, but how to actually have genuine conversation and begin to bring people off platform to talk with you, and then back on platform and kind of have them work simultaneously. So that's my next, that's my 5 step, right? My 5 and 6 where I'm at. I do have some great relationships from a relationship standpoint. That's step 8, which I love how you said, and I can't remember what the podcast was, but you said that elevated you when you looked at this organization. They did not have your particular skill set in their portfolio, so you were doing podcasting. They brought you in, and that elevated your game. Talk to us a little bit about partnerships from your lens.
Yeah, sure. So the way I look at partnerships spatially is you partner up, you collaborate across, and then you mentor around yourself, right? So when I look at a partner up, that's a situation where I have more to gain than they do. So I've got to come in and humble myself. I've got to bring something, even though it's not as much as they've got, something unique and valuable to the table so that we'll work together. When I look at a collaborate across, I look at a lot of my colleagues, my peers, my friends. Some of us are a little further along than others, but we're generally still in the same league. You might be a terrible NBA team, but you're still one of the 200 best basketball players on the planet, right? You're in the same league, okay? Yeah. And those are people I'm friends with. We do events together. We speak at each other's events. My friends came through when I had my book launch going, and that's what drove it to a bestseller status. I mean, and you've got to build relationships like that. And the way you do that is by making sure your friends understand what you do. Your friends understand your value as well, right? And then you've got the communities that you're coaching and mentoring. You're mentoring around them, right? And so when I look at finding partners, I'm trying to figure out, are they a partner up, or are they a collaborate across? Right? And the easiest analogy I can give, Grant, is be the jelly to someone's peanut butter.
Yeah.
I know there are some weird people out there who only put peanut butter on their sandwiches. I think that's weird. It's way better, in my opinion, with some jelly on it. What you don't want to do is heap more peanut butter. So case in point, a couple of years ago, I had a friend, a mentor-ish in the early years, and he was teaching copywriting, like writing marketing material. And that's what I do. I do that pretty well as well. And he asked me to promote his product. Well, sure. But if I just told my audience, if you buy this guy's course, I'm going to give you more copywriting stuff, not going to work. It's not appealing. It's just more peanut butter on top of the peanut butter.
Right.
But I said, I will teach you how to build a personal brand as a copywriter so that you can get clients and you can get speaking engagements. That was jelly to the peanut butter. And so when you look at potential partners, whether it's a partner up or collaborate across, figure out how to position yourself, right, relative to the rest of the competition, how you can bring in something that just makes the flavor pop, to use the food analogy, that just gives it that extra richness, that gives it that extra appeal, right? And just be the jelly to someone's peanut butter. That's really the way that I look at it. And if you look at it that way, you're going to get creative. You're going to get some ideas that pop in your, okay, what do they really want? They want more sales. They want more exposure. How can I help them do that in a unique way? That's how I find partners.
The 5-star BDM LinkedIn social selling course can help you stand out and attract the right connections and opportunities. We will help you professionally create your profile, provide personalized recommendations for improvement, and help you create and share engaging content to help you showcase your skills and expertise. Our 5-step course makes connecting with industry experts, finding job opportunities, and building meaningful relationships easy. Social selling can be an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but it does have its challenges. Our course will help you solve the problems associated with digital networking. If you need help personalizing your outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. If you need help targeting the right prospects, this course is for you. With so much noise on social media, it can be challenging to cut through the clutter and get your message in front of the right people. Our course will personalize your messaging using our targeting tools and research. You can identify and reach the right prospects. We will also show how to deliver high quality, valuable content that attracts and engages prospects and clients. The 5-star BDM LinkedIn social selling course will address these challenges by implementing best practices. As a result, you can improve your social selling efforts and generate better results. Are you looking to improve your LinkedIn profile and reach a wider audience? Social selling is an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but it does have its challenges. Some common problems we saw with social selling include lack of visibility. If your profile is not optimized or you're not actively participating in groups or sharing content, it can be difficult to get noticed on LinkedIn. Number 2, lack of personalization. Some businesses struggle with personalizing their outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. Also, difficulty targeting the right prospects. it can be difficult to identify and target the right prospects on social media, especially if you don't have access to robust targeting tools. And number 4, outdated content. If your LinkedIn profile or content is not up to date, it can give the impression that you're not actively engaged on the platform or that your skills and experience are not current. And lastly, poor quality content and not leveraging video and picture to convey ideas. To solve these problems, the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling Video course will help you focus on personalizing your outreach and messaging to better connect with prospects. In module number 1, the foundation, we will help you create high quality, valuable profile that will attract and engage. In module 2, the story, optimizing your LinkedIn profile to make sure it is complete, accurate, and visually appealing. In module number 3, the experience, using your targeting tools and research to identify and reach out to the right prospects. In module number 4, engagement, establishing a consistent follow-up process to nurture leads and build relationships over time. And lastly, in number 5, execution. Understand the metrics to help you measure your brand effectiveness. By addressing these challenges and implementing best practices, you will improve your social selling with the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling course. Listen to what others have said about 5-star BDM.
Grant, I'll tell you why I'm here, right? I'm here because I love your brand. When we started chatting on LinkedIn, we connected. I checked you out and I go, man, this guy knows what he's talking about.
You were definitely instrumental in helping to shape that knowledge of who I am. Because at first I thought, well, I am an actress. I am a writer. I am a producer. I am a speaker. And so I said, well, I must be a creative communicator. I know that there is a narrative thread here, but you nailed it when you said you are a storyteller. So you brought it all together in this cohesive title.
Sign up today to improve your social selling opportunities. So I got one more question. I got to ask you this because this is beautiful. I love this conversation that we're having. I reached out, I saw you on LinkedIn. I said, oh, Mike Kim's on LinkedIn. All right. Let me see if he'll connect with me, right? So I sent you a connection request. You accepted. I went, great, he accepted. All right. I'm not going to just, I think this is a class 1 mistake that a lot of people do. They just send some ridiculous pitch to someone that they just like, I don't even know who you are or what you represent, and you just immediately, spam me with this message. I totally tell people, don't try not to do that. It's really annoying. So I let that, percolate for a little bit. Hopefully you were seeing some of the things that I was doing. And then I was beginning to put together a podcast series on brand masters, right? So I said, you know what? I'm going to craft the message and I'm going to send it to Mike Kim. I'm going to let him know, Mike, I'm doing this brand master series. I think you will be a good guest for the show. Here's some other people that I've been interviewing. And I sent you a clip of what the show would look like. And I said, let me know if you'd like to be a guest. And I went, poop, and I don't know how long it took. And then you responded back like, hey, Grant, yeah, that sounds great. I'm taking some time off, but I'm busy right now. But, stay after me. I like to do something with you. And then I was patient, right? Because I respected what you said. And then I came back and I think, I don't know, it was late December or January. Said, hey, let's go ahead and hook this up. And now we're here now. My question is this. Why did you want to be a guest on the show?
As you were sharing this, I went and pulled up our chat, right? And first of all, in total transparency, I'm not very active on LinkedIn, like I said before, but I'm trying to be. I hate Facebook, right? It just drives me nuts. And I've actually started to move some of my communities into LinkedIn groups instead of Facebook groups. So by virtue of that, I feel like I should be a little bit Well, by virtue of that, I'm in LinkedIn a little bit more, right? And you had first pinged me in early October. So we're recording this in January. So this is like 3-4 months ago, right?
Yeah.
And then I responded the next day. And I asked what you're working on these days. And you mentioned your podcast. And then you put a clip immediately to a video. I didn't watch the video, but the thumbnail popped up. And here, I can tell you probably exactly what I was thinking at the time. Oh, this guy's got his act together. He's well dressed. He's on set. He's got a YouTube video. He's not joking around. And it doesn't and here's another thing I would say. I don't really care about the size of someone's current audience as long as they've got their act together, because you never know who's going to blow up. So I know there are many stories of now very well-known podcasters. Joe Rogan started episode 1 at some point in his life. And I bet you there were people like, what is this idiot doing? He's just a TV host for Fear Factor. He's not going to amount to anything. Imagine you were on Joe Rogan's first 10 episodes. And now his podcast is, there are people, and you know this, Grant, they go way back and listen to every episode you've ever published.
Yeah.
My most downloaded episodes are my early ones. So I never despise the day of small beginnings, if you will, right? It's a Bible term, right? And so I just looked at the thumbnail, good lighting, you were well dressed, very professional, and said, I didn't even click on it. I wrote you back a minute later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, do you have a schedule, or I have an event? And that was when I was running my live mastermind conference. And then, event like burned out, right? And I didn't book. And then you pinged me like a month and a half later, when can we schedule? I didn't answer. We were in Thanksgiving. And actually, a week later, I started taking like 6 weeks off.
Yeah.
So then I dove in. Now, when I wrote you back December 3rd, I was actually technically on vacation. So but I was like, okay, maybe I should just check my LinkedIn real quick in case I miss anything important. And I saw your message, and then I booked on your schedule. And that was also really important. Like, you made it easy for me. We didn't have to exchange, hey, what days and times are you available? You had a scheduler. It was so easy for me to book at my own convenience. I went into LinkedIn, probably booked it right away, and then went back on being on vacation.
Yeah.
And I scheduled it for a time that I knew I would be back. And this is my first week back at work. So it's all of that. And I think people don't realize that these decisions are made in microseconds. Oh, I see him. He's well dressed. I like how he's presented. Okay, he's got a TV set behind him. That's really good. He must know what he's doing. He said he's X number of episodes in. Okay, that means he's been doing it for a while. Wonderful. I'm in. Let me go book. And you had the system to book. It didn't ask me 47 questions. It was just super simple. And then boom, here we are. So I think there's a lot of that where it's like a pro recognizes a pro. And I think that's what most people don't understand. Like, a pro recognizes a pro. And it doesn't matter whether you're a rookie in the league or you're, how many years has LeBron James been in the league, right? It doesn't matter. You're still in the same league. And so that's enough to sniff that out. People can sniff that out. And so that's really important. It turns out you're 80 some odd episodes in. Okay, no wonder.
Yeah.
He's got his stuff together, right? And so all of that, I mean, we can parse it down even, but all of that is why somebody would say yes.
Well, I thank you for saying, Mike, this has been wonderful. It's a gift. It's a gift to our audience, so they can get real time and understand what process and progress looks like. You put in the work. Obviously, you've got to work on your game. You've got to put in the work, and you've got to show up. And when you show up, opportunity will come because you're prepared. They call that getting lucky, right? You're prepared. You're ready to go. But I truly encourage the entire audience, listen to Mike Kim's podcast. You will, number one, feel good. Every time I turn on Mike Kim and I listen, I feel good. It's always enlightening, but really the voice is just a good voice. I remember just driving across Alligator Alley down here in South Florida, right? You got an hour of windshield time. Like, what else better to do? Let's listen to Mike Kim, right? So I put it on, and by the time it's done, you just feel good, and then you're already at your destination. I think if your destination is to grow your business and to do it professionally and to have it stand out, you want to tune in to Mike Kim. This has been wonderful. So if the audience does need to get in touch with you, Mike, what is the best way?
Well, here, I'll put myself out on LinkedIn, DM me. I'm also active on Instagram. So those are the two social networks I check the most, LinkedIn and Instagram. And I look at the DMs. Like, it might take me a little while to get to them, but I always look at them. My assistants don't help me with that stuff. So that's great. You mentioned the podcast called You Are the Brand. We changed the name after my book came out, but it's still the same feed. So you just put my name into search. I'll pop up. And if you're a podcast listener, just give me a shot as well. Most people listen to about 5 or 7 podcasts monthly. That's on average. That's what the stats say. So continue listening to Grant's, of course, but give me a shot. Let me know if I can be one of your 7. And if you've got anything you feel I can help you with, pick up the book. You Are the Brand. It's available everywhere, or just tune into the podcast.
And that is now a Wall Street bestseller?
Yeah, Wall Street Journal. We hit 2 bestsellers, Wall Street Journal and USA Today.
Congratulations.
So really cool.
Now we got a second book coming out? I mean, what's on there?
Yeah, we'll be working. I've been working on it. It'll take a little while, but yeah. It feels like I just wrote this one. So
I know you made it.
Yeah, the world moves fast. Yeah. So yeah.
But you built you already built the momentum to where when the book came out, it just helped you to blossom anymore. So congratulations on everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Grant. It was an honor to be here, and for all you tuning in, I hope that this was valuable and insightful. And just keep going. Just keep going. Don't give up.
Hey, keep going and tune in to all the episodes of the Follow the Brand. You can tune in at www.5starbdm, and that is B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Until next time, take care, Mike.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaugh, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-Star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaugh explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you. Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges, that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius is coming.